public will clamour, the public will roar. They won't know the best tunes were written before.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a new episode of Chatting with Lady C. Hello, Mum. How are you?
Hi, honey. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Oh, good. You're good. Are you well as good?
I'm very well.
Oh, good.
That's good.
You know my little bugbear.
Yes. I do.
To those of you who don't know, it's crept into the English language when people say, "How are you?" and you say, "I'm good." Well, one hasn't actually asked them for the state of their soul. One has asked them for the state of their health, which should be well, thank you. So I tease everybody close to me about it. They know it's one of my little bugbears. Okay, honey. Question. Oh no, you had an announcement you need to make, don't you?
Yeah. So we're just, again, it's about the Instagram raffle contest. It's the last weekend and we will be announcing it on Monday. So if you haven't got into it or haven't heard about it, we will leave a link in the description to bring you to Mum's Instagram for you to chance to win a t-shirt signed by Mum. So if you like to play, go for it and good luck.
Oh dear.
All right, so for our first questions today is from Kosh DDJJ2.
Sorry, that's obviously a nom de plume, maybe even a nom de guerre.
I just think it's, unfortunately, the person's name had been taken, so I had to go a little bit longer.
Yes.
It's all right. That's the problem. That's fine. I'd like to ask a question to Lady C. What do you think of Samantha Markle? Is she credible in her allegations of Meghan?
Well, first of all, let me say up front, I have not read the book. It's not been published in England. I gather it's not even out in America yet, but it's due to come out in America very shortly. I will be intrigued to see what she says in the book. Going off what she has said in the past, I would like to keep as open a mind as possible and weigh it up once I have read it. I would say, however, that what I have been told of the behind-the-scenes collapse of her relationship with her sister Meghan was that they were not on the outs, and that when she contacted Meghan to congratulate Meghan on having got herself a nice new boyfriend in Harry, Meghan iced her. And if that turns out to be so, you can understand why Samantha was very annoyed. It also doesn't reflect well on Meghan, because, I don't see friends and relations for years at a time, and we're not on the outs with each other. And if they need me or I need them, or if I'm going to be somewhere and they're going to be there, or we get in touch with each other, and you pick up exactly where you left off. That's what true relationships are all about. You don't have to be speaking to somebody 27 days a week. It's ludicrous, if you're leading a busy life, somebody else is leading a busy life. You don't have the time to be paying court to someone as if they are a demigoddess. It's ludicrous. What degree of egomania do you have to possess to actually believe that if people aren't pandering to you constantly and sucking up to you constantly, that you don't have a relationship with them? Of course you have a relationship with them. maybe you didn't have, from your point of view, a deep relationship with them, but then maybe from your point of view, you're not capable of having a deep relationship with anybody. And so I think I prefer to wait.
Well, I think she might be, like, a lot of things will be truthful, because on the little bits that she was in the press about, she said the truth.
Yes, yes.
And so I think that she will, in her book, if it's about Meghan, will say a lot of the truth.
Well, I have to say, to a large extent, I agree with you, because after the initial shock of, that she was saying that Meghan was a social climber, etc., etc., but then once one discovered why she was saying it, because Meghan had iced her, and certainly what she has said about Meghan's behaviour towards their father, no, I think...
A lot of it has come out true.
Yes, a lot of it has not only been true, it's been fair. It's been fair.
Yeah, because she wasn't trying anything mean. She was just trying to defend a position that she thought was right.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I'd still like to keep my mind as open as possible. But yes, what you say has merit. Absolutely.
Nice. So for our next question today is from Irene Guthrie. Why were Harry and Meghan allowed to marry in a church? Meghan even in white. And Charles and Camilla weren't allowed since both ladies were previously divorced.
Well, that, of course, is a question that any practicing Anglican or Catholic will immediately know the answer to. Meghan was married to Trevor Engelson in Jamaica. It was a civil ceremony. Civil ceremonies are not recognized by the church as being necessarily valid, certainly not in the Catholic Church. And so, in effect, Meghan had never been married in a church, and so was able to get married in a church. Camilla, on the other hand, was married in a church. She was very definitely married in a church. She was also married to a Roman Catholic, and that marriage was not annulled. And therefore, the Church of England would have to acknowledge it as having been a valid marriage. And that's why Camilla and Charles could not remarry in a church. But after they were married civilly, their marriage was blessed within the church. Now, I actually, speaking as the niece of a nun and the great niece of an archbishop, will say, I think it's a bit of a nonsense. If you can have your union blessed in the church, you should be able to get married in the church. It's as simple as that. And I would like to see an update in both the Anglo-Catholic and the Roman Catholic churches, where people who have been married can be remarried in a church, as long as there are good, solid grounds for the fact that they were married, they got divorced. I know the Catholic Church goes through the whole business of the sacred rota and annulments, which the Anglican Church doesn't. So in some ways, the Anglican Church is actually harsher, hence why Charles and Camilla could not get married in the church. But I'd like to see that change. I mean, so much else is changing. And I'm very much of the Jesus Christ tradition, spray love everywhere, spray forgiveness,
It's such a common thing nowadays to get a divorce as well.
Yes.
So I think that they should allow it.
Well, in the Orthodox Church, you're allowed to marry 3 times in church. So
there you go. Why couldn't Gave them 3 chances
And
to find the right one.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. Yeah, a little chance, you know. Made a mistake once, made it a second time. Well, hopefully third time lucky, you know. But when you stop to think that the Church of England came about because Henry VIII needed a divorce and got a divorce, you know, it is a little bit harsh, but that's the reason why they couldn't get married, and why Harry and Meghan could, and the reason why she wore white was because she was living the dream. You
Well,
know,
what other colour would she have worn?
well, you're not supposed to wear white for your second marriage. She could have worn, at the very least, cream or or a
Pinkish.
pastel color.
Yeah, okay.
She could even have worn red. Although that might have been rather too appropriate for the siren.
It might have been too much, yes.
Oh dear. And I was being naughty and droll when I said that. I don't mean it seriously, because I think I'm delighted that even Meghan had sufficiently good taste as to have not gone down that route. So, next question, honey. Oh, God.
So for our next question today is from Kateness, 1975. Lady C, can you explain the royal protocol related to clothing to the general audience? I have seen many articles erroneously comment that Catherine broke royal protocol by wearing something, and where Meghan wore something similar, she was attacked. For example, the off-the-shoulder dress at the trooping of the colour of her pennant for wearing black. Most people do not understand that the context of the event is the deciding factor. Thank you.
Well, yes, the context of the event is one of the deciding factors. There are other deciding factors: tradition, custom, appropriateness. Meghan wore 2 cocktail dresses, not 1, 2 cocktail dresses to Trooping the Colour. One was an off-the-shoulder peachy coloured dress, and the other was a black boat neckline, a bateau neckline, which isn't, it hovers on being off the shoulder, which is completely inappropriate for an event that is, in terms of the military, and in fact, if I'm not mistaken, she wore that to something for a service of remembrance for the army, I think. And I don't think it was Trooping the Colour, but it could have been Trooping the Colour, but I think it wasn't. I think it was a service of remembrance, and that she was definitely on the balcony at Buckingham Palace afterwards for the fly past. But so she has a propensity for wearing evening wear during the day, which only vulgarians do. I know an awful lot of actresses and TV presenters, I've touched upon it before, like Holly Willoughby, wearing cocktail dresses at lunchtime. You know, it's something that a certain category of glamour puss that is in the public eye, but is not sufficiently sophisticated or knowledgeable about what is truly desirable attire it's a mistake that they will make. And Holly the Dolly has made it on several occasions. And Meghan customarily blunders in. You know, look at me, I'm in a cocktail dress. Look at me, where's my drink? Oh, sorry, I'm in church. I mean, honestly, you know, talk about so unsophisticated and really so tacky. It's tacky behavior. There is such a thing as formal morning wear, which, for instance, at Royal Ascot, all women are required to wear formal morning wear. Formal morning wear is not quite the same as cocktail wear. You can actually, if the cocktail dress is neutral enough, you can wear a cocktail dress as formal morning wear to Ascot with a hat. But there's actually a very subtle difference between the two. There's a slight overlap, but the overlap is very slight. Catherine Cambridge has been criticised on occasion for wearing lace during the day. Well, lace is perfectly acceptable for formal morning wear. So you can wear lace during the day. I've worn lace to Ascot on more than one occasion. First time I think I did was in 1977, maybe 78. 77, I think it was. I've still got the dress. Can't get into it, but still great dress. So you can wear lace, but you cannot wear sparkly things. You cannot wear sequins. There are certain things and you cannot wear off-the-shoulder dresses. There are certain necklines that are completely reserved for the evening and not for the day. You can wear a bateau neckline in a wedding dress, but you're not supposed to wear a bateau neckline in a day dress, not even formal day wear. But it's cocktail wear, evening wear. Cocktail wear starts in the evening. It's not day wear. It's short or semi-formal, I suppose would be an American term. I've never heard it used in England, but I've heard it used in America, where, you know, you would say it's halfway between a long dress and a day dress. So and that's cocktail wear. Organza is usually a cocktail fabric. You need to be very careful not to have a crossover between the two. But people who are very unsophisticated, like Meghan, don't know the difference. And she clearly has never been interested in learning the difference, because she has blundered in wearing evening bags to day events. And you just don't do that. You just don't do it. And while Catherine actually is very good about wearing formal day wear in the day, and some people confuse formal day wear with cocktail wear, but the two are slightly different. Do you think that has answered the question?
Yeah, I think that answered the question, yes.
You get the difference.
I get the difference. I also think it's good to keep the tradition up. It's like people in our generation, we're losing it quite a lot, but they love dressing up like that in the future. It's like people nowadays love dressing up like people used to dress up in the 60s or the 70s, and you don't see them or anybody complaining about that. I think that it's nice that people want to keep up the way that people used to dress up.
Yes.
And people should stay that way. I prefer largely to go out in a suit than out in a shirt and some some jeans, let's say. It's so much nicer to go out in a suit.
Yes, it's smart, you know, it's elegance. There's nothing wrong with elegance.
Nothing wrong.
You know, elegance is very desirable.
And it doesn't make you look like a posh twat, like some people might say, oh, he's just dressing up that to look posh. And no. I have some friends that are just normal guys, normal jobs, and they love on the occasion going out and dressing up on a suit.
Good.
And they love it.
Good.
Because that's the way they were brought up to, like, to go out and look nice and smart and fancy.
And that's the thing. Elegance. To be elegant, to be well groomed, to care. What you are saying to people is, I have enough self-respect that I care how I present myself to you. And in doing that, I also convey to you that I have respect for you. I don't only have self-respect, I have respect for you. You know, the slobs are basically saying, I'm so fabulous and arrogant and I'm just so great. I don't need to make any effort whatsoever. Well, off that theory, why would you ever take a bath or wipe your bottom? No time will rest my case.
So for our final question, it's from Kit Hesketh Harvey.
He's very famous, by the way. He was a huge star in the 80s and 90s. Kit and the Widow, fabulous, great comedian, fabulous entertainer. Sorry, go on.
I was the cabaret at the party which Barbara and Conrad Black threw for Boris Johnson, merely the MP for the Henley in those days, at which Conrad stood up and declared that were Boris ever to run for number 10. The Telegraph was behind him. All London was gathered there, including leading press commentators, of which Barbara and indeed journalist Boris were both dazzling exemplars. These things I remember, that everybody roared with laughter at the very idea of Boris running for the Conservative leader, that Boris himself charmingly ensured that the lyrics of the high-roast satirical song which I had written and sung about him never reached the public domain. The content of Barbara's wardrobe in the dressing room which were allocated in which to wait, the dignity, the erudition, and self-deprecating humour of Conrad, the now towing to him of who were his guests, and finally the dazzling brilliance and beauty of Barbara, that night equalled as a hostess. What a shame that sheer envy meant that we may never see a party like that again.
Well, that's a very interesting commentary, because Kit Hesketh Harvey was a huge star, and you know, he has no axe to grind one way or the other. I wasn't at the party. I actually never went to any of their parties. I didn't know them well enough to go to their parties. And they weren't really interested in my sort of world. They were interested in being power brokers and the billionaire lifestyle. Actually, very Meghan Markle, funnily enough. And it's an interesting observation from somebody who was there, that, you know, there was this fabulous party, and that I do know from people that Conrad Black is very self-deprecating. I also know from many of his critics that they can't stand him. I think the fact of the matter is that they are a very controversial couple, And I find it interesting what Kit Hesketh Harvey has said, because basically he's saying that they put on this fabulous event that, that basically he was very self-deprecating and she was just fabulous and beautiful. And she's a good-looking woman. She really is a good-looking woman. And she's aged tremendously well. She's 80 and she looks 50. Really fabulous-looking woman. And, I don't know them well enough to know one way or the other. And really, I'm not sure that I care enough. But I think it's interesting to hear it from somebody who has no axe to grind, who basically thinks that people were envious of them. Envy is an awful thing. And, some people trigger envy rather more readily than other people. And I think they triggered envy tremendously readily because they were so exultantly materialistic and so jubilant about having achieved the success that they had, that I think it got people's backs up. So more than that I can't. I don't think there's anything to add. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I don't really know him, so...
Yeah. Well, he's a fabulous entertainer. Kit Hesketh Harvey is fabulous.
Probably if I saw a picture of him, I'd recognise him, but by
Kit
name...
and the Widow. Kit and the Widow.
That says nothing to me,
Yeah.
though.
No, because you most likely weren't born.
Well, if you said in the 80s, 90s, he would have dragged around in a bit of the 90s.
Yes, but you were a baby and a little boy.
Yes, but I've watched most of the films that I could probably think about in the 90s.
Google him, Kit and the Widow. Fabulous. Yes. Really great entertainer. And what, of course, is interesting as well is that Boris was very self-deprecating and that everybody also thought that Boris, was not going to be appropriate for number 10. And there is Boris in number 10. And let's face facts, say what you will about Boris. He's got Brexit over the hump. And I think for that alone, he deserves tremendous credit, But then I always knew that he would be the man for Brexit because of when I sued him and Tacky Theodorakopoulos for libel, and his reaction was so completely unexpected when I wrote him my excoriating letter. And he suggested offering me a column instead of being upset by the contents of my letter, which he should have been, because believe me, I aimed low. And on that note, I will say thank you very much. Please don't forget the Instagram and keep the questions coming in. And I look forward to seeing you in our next video.
Well, thank you, everybody, and we hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thank you very much, and goodbye.